talking about some very exciting new things. We're super excited to introduce Omnisphere 2 today. Yeah, and this is taking Omnisphere to a whole new level with literally thousands of new possibilities, new additions, new features, new sounds, new synthesis. It's time to make some noise. And this is an incredible upgrade, whether you are really into creating your own sounds and you don't like using anybody else's sounds, you want to just create your own. It's awesome for that. It's also great if you just want to enjoy the sounds, the amazing library of sounds that it comes with. So it's really for any kind of user. And if you're in the middle there somewhere too. So the first thing we want to dive into is the synthesis features. And so let me fire this up here. And let's take a look, because there are tons of brand new synthesis features. And what is one of the coolest things is the #1 request we've always had: audio import for Omnisphere. So you can bring your own audio into Omnisphere and use it as a sound source. Really, really cool. So that lets you take any kind of track and turn it into something completely different. So let me give you an example of what you can do, because you can radically transform the audio. It's really, by the way, it's really simple to put it in. You just go to the sound source browser, user audio, and right there you drag and drop your audio. That's it. That's the entire process. So super easy to use. So what I did is I put in a couple of jazz mixes here. So I've got oops, a little low on the octave. Okay, so we got a nice jazz track there. So let's go up to the, now what can we do with it in Omnisphere? That's the more important thing. There's lots of things where you can just play back a sample. But we have amazing granular synthesis in Omnisphere. So let's take that track, once again, right? And let's turn on the granular synthesis and we can turn it into this. Let's try a rhythmic. Let's turn it into a rhythmic sound. Same sound. And what I can do is I can change the position here of where it's playing in the track. Transformation. And let's try a different part of the song. So if I play the track here, get that going. If I maybe closer into the song, I've got a little kind of a horn thing. Okay, and then let's hit reverse. So I'll turn that. Okay, that's kind of nice. And then we'll go up and turn the granular on. And now we've got, I can freeze any section of this and turn it into a texture. And I'll move that position. I'll add some pitch grains. Amazing effects. There's even you can even go as far as turning it into a synth. This is the same sound, and I've turned it into a full-blown synth sound. Now we'll find the right spot on the waveform, and we'll move it along the track. Okay, that's not jazz anymore. Okay, so, and we even have a new wild mode in Granular.
Wild.
And this is really cool. It just basically makes everything completely freak out. It was actually a bug, and we decided to keep it. The sound is so cool. So here's what it does. Here's the original sound. Right? Pretty amazing what you can do with granular synthesis in Omnisphere. So the granular's been totally redone. It's a completely new algorithm. It's really, really powerful. And you can also, it's also wonderful with phrase sounds, and of course vocals, and whatever audio you put in, it's going to have a different result. So that was I was just giving you an example. That was all just with one piece of audio. Depending on what kind of audio you put in, it's going to sound a lot different. So let's take something like this. This is a phrase sound, and there's actually a whole new library of phrases that comes in Omnisphere too. And so here's the original phrase. This is a Chinese violin. Okay, and then let's turn on the granular and check out what it can do. Ridiculous kind of results you can get out of it. Let's take another one. Let's take this phrase. Sort of a slide up and down. And let's turn the granular on, and then we get this. Really cool effects. Really neat stuff. Let's take another example here. This is a little Pachelbel's cannon done with a kalimba. Okay, now let's turn the granular on and turn it into this. Stuff you could do with the granular synthesis and audio importing. It's super easy to use too. You just drag your audio in. You could even have a patch called up. Like you have a patch that you like. You're like, gee, I wonder what this would sound like with my guitar track on this track I'm working on. Drag the guitar track in, and now you're hearing the guitar track through that patch, and it selects it automatically. It's really, really cool. All right, so let's take a look at some of the pure synthesis stuff. Because a lot of people don't realize that Omnisphere is an amazing synthesizer, even if you don't use any samples at all. If you don't use any samples or audio, you can create amazing sounds because it's one of the most powerful synthesizers in the world. And we have dramatically increased its capability. How much, you say? Let's take an example. Anyone know how many oscillator waveforms are in Omnisphere right now? DSP oscillator waveforms. Anyone know? Okay, there's 4. There's saw square fat, saw square bright, triangle, and sine. And so you have 4. In version 2, you have 400. 100 times the number of synth oscillator waveforms. And that's not samples. That's synth oscillators. And every one of those waveforms is a morphing wavetable. So that's actually like exponentially even larger than that. So let's take an example of one of these. And this is probably not a sound you might think of coming out of Omnisphere. Woo! This is called a razor blade. This is a razor blade wavetable. And let's open the oscillator zoom, and I'm going to change the shape. And as I change the shape, you can see it's morphing between all these different wave shapes. And check out the sound it makes here. So there's some nasty stuff. There's some nasty, big sounding wavetables. Here's another one. This was modeled on a certain trick you can do with an Oberheim OB8, and it's just really cool sound too. There's no effects on the signal, nothing at all. That's just the raw sound of the oscillators. So it's really, really powerful. And there's also, you know, not everything is aggressive. There's lots of mellower stuff. There's also kind of the classic bell wavetable stuff. So really, really cool stuff. Amazing things you can do. We've also totally beefed up the unison section. And what we've done is how many people here have a polyphonic analog synth? All right? Not many. Not many. Okay, then I'm going to tell you how they work. On a polyphonic analog synth, you have each time you play a note, it goes through a voice card. And on that voice card are analog oscillators, and we all know that analog oscillators don't track their tuning right, so they kind of move around. So when you put a polysynth in unison, what it does is all of those voice cards are drifting a little bit. They're drifting around, and that's part of what gives it its fatness. It gives it its kind of awesomeness when you go into unison mode, is that the oscillators are slightly drifting. Not just randomized, but they're actually on their own trajectories of kind of varying ranges of calibration. Well, we can adjust all that in Omnisphere too. So we have a new drift parameter, and it's amazing. Let me play it for you. Here's without unison. And with it. And without it. So that's a pretty awesome unison sound. And you can control the detuning too, and you can see the detuning now. Turn it on here. So yeah, super cool sounding. And of course you have, a lot of people don't know, Omnisphere 2, you can have 10 oscillators per voice, and each oscillator can have its own wavetable. So here's all the different wavetables. So you can have 10 of these wavetables all going at the same time. Not too many other synthesizers, hardware or software, have that kind of capability. So it's enormously powerful for creating your own sounds, and that has nothing to do with using samples or burning pianos or anything. They're just pure synthesis. So that's an awesome thing. Another thing is that we've dramatically improved the FM and the wave and the ring modulation, so you can get a lot more. You can get a lot deeper effects. So I'm going to show you what it's like on the ring modulation. So we'll start here, and a lot of times when you think about ring modulation, you think about kind of the old school ring modulator effect that you find on a CS80 or ring modulator pedal on a Rhodes or something, and you kind of produce this sort of effect where you have, like, here's my original. And then as I bring up the ring mod, right, it's kind of limited in what it can do. Well, so first of all, in Omnisphere we can perfectly track the keyboard, so I can have, so it becomes a lot more useful. And in 1.0, and the current version of Omnisphere, I could do about something like this. Still kind of subtle, it's kind of a subtle effect. But in version 2, we have a boost mode and an advanced mode where we can modulate with any of the wavetables can be modulators. So we go from here to really, really fat. And so let's take that and then let's run that through one of the new effects, because we have 25 new effects in Omnisphere 2, plus the original set of them, so that you have 57 total effects in one synthesizer. It's amazing. Okay, so here's our original, and this is a new one. This is an envelope filter, and the envelope filter tracks the input. So it's going to take that nice beating that's going on, that stuff, and it's going to track that with a filter. Okay, so I'm going to turn the envelope filter on it, and it's going to sound like this. And let's mix a little of the original back in, and I've just got a killer sound. That was all from that simple, just that sound. That's just a ring modulator with a little bit of envelope filter. So yeah, so what you can do synthesis-wise is just explode it. We have 8 brand new filters also, beautiful filters, and they sound great. So let me give you an example of what they sound like here. And oh, I got it here. Sorry about that. And there we go. So here's when they're all at their bottom here. Beautiful sound. So yeah, awesome new filters, fantastic, and we have expanded modulation. You do so many different things with modulation. And what I'm going to do, I don't know what's going to happen here, but I'm just going to build a sound for you, okay? I'm just going to build a sound on the fly. I want to show you a few things about the interface and about the modulation. So let's just start with good old sawtooth wave. Okay, and I want to select something new. So let's take, why don't we take one of the sweeping things. So let's take, it's kind of nice, fat sort of sound. And it's got, does some neat things. Let's put a filter on there. Okay, so I've got that, one of the new filters. And let's put an envelope there. Okay, that's kind of nice. But I want it to kind of move around a little bit. So this one does some neat wave shaping. So let's go over here and let's okay, so I know what I want to do. I want that meow. I want to control the shape with the filter envelope, right? So what I'll do is I'll right click, and this is how you connect a patch cable in Omnisphere. You right click it, and let's select all mod sources, and I know which one I want, so I'm going to select the filter envelope, and look at that. On the left, the filter envelope popped up. And now I've got a nice, and I can, pretty cool. But maybe instead of that, I'd rather have, I think I'd rather have an LFO. So let's try LFO 1. And let's see if we go here, unipolar. And let's put the filter on there too. So I'm going to select, instead of the envelope, I'm going to select that LFO. Nice. And now I've got a good, woo. It's kind of sounded pretty nice, kind of beefy. And let's put it on legato. And now this, I can, okay, nice little LFO thing. So let's modulate that with the wheel, so I can. Okay, and now I want to beef it up a little bit. So let's turn on the unison here. And woo! That sounded pretty nice. Okay, and let's see, maybe we'll try a little bit of, so let's see, a little boost on there, and woo! And we use a heart sync. And let's try an effect. How about we try let's try that envelope filter again. That was pretty fun. Nice. Now it's going to track. Now I've got So that's how fast you can program a sound in Omnisphere. Very, very fast. I didn't know I was going to do that, but I should probably save it. But some things is best to leave to the wind. Just let them exist for a moment. So yeah, so that able to see what you're doing. So tremendous amount of stuff you can do with the synthesis. I just scratched a little bit of the surface of what you can do. So let's talk about the sounds, right? Because of course, Omnisphere comes with a lot of amazing sounds, and as you can sort of guess from that, some of these timbres that are coming out, we've got an amazing EDM library that's included with version 2.0, and there's a whole area for the EDM guys that don't want to hear any film score sounds. They don't want to hear anything else. They just want to hear EDM all day, all night. And it's just EDM, and it's awesome. And you can work really fast, and it sounds killer. Here's a little example of it. So yeah, not polite at all. But yeah, really, really killer. So, so there's a lot of sounds. Did I mention how many sounds that Omnisphere has now? In version 2, it's more than 10,000 sounds. That's a lot of sounds. That's why I look so tired. It took a long time to make all those sounds. So that means that version 2 comes with more than 3,000 brand new patches, sound sources, and multis. Okay, so this is the first new sound sources that have been available for Omnisphere. We've had new patches for quite a while. And there's lots of new patches in 2.0, but this is a massive expansion of the sound sources too. Tons and tons of new stuff. And we have all kinds of interesting techniques that we use to create sounds. And so I'll just show you a couple examples here. These are like we're using paintbrushes to select sounds, and using coins and metal objects to go across things, or Chinese balls. We'll find the rarest instruments. This is an instrument called a guitarette. It's extremely rare. These gigantic things we'll hit with mallets. We'll bow these kind of strange instruments, or play them with all kinds of brooms and toothbrushes. We love using toothbrushes. That's with sugar. And this is with coins and pills, and even like fishing line. We'll use fishing line to do stuff. So we use all kinds of things to create these sounds. And they're just awesome. There's so many. I can't even begin to play the amount of sounds that are in there. But we go very exotic. We go very, very exotic. In fact, this time, we went all the way to Eastern Europe, and we got government access, secret government access, to a radioactive cave that no one was allowed into, because we heard that there were these stalactites in this cave that could produce melodic pitches. So we got a boat and we went into the cave and we recorded these stalactite caves just for a sound source in Omnisphere. And we had to get clearance from NATO actually to do this. And it's an amazing sound. And, you know, we're always looking for new sounds, of course, but sometimes we have to look really old. So this is probably the oldest sound that's ever been, because it takes 100,000 years to grow one of those stalactites to where it would be melodic. So it has the newest sounds and the very oldest sound ever. So that's just go very, very crazy. We also, there's a whole bunch of really cool new circuit bending kind of things that we've done. Experimenting with toys and kinds of glitchy things, taking apart things. And this is a whole new kind of category that we have. This is a synthesizer made from an Altoids can. So we have all kinds of neat electronic things in there. And it's just amazing. And like I said before, there's a huge library of phrase sound sources too. Gigantic collection, and those work so well with the granular synthesis of turning those into new things. And we're super excited to be featuring some brand new, never before released exclusive sounds from this man over here, Mr. Diego Stacco, who is a dear friend of ours, and quite a dude. So this is just, he's got so many different instruments that he's done, the Experibass, the Arcophonico. There's even he bowed an Indiana Jones hat, and it made an amazing sound. It's true. There's amazing, amazing, amazing sounds in this. So these are what he calls custom-built instruments. And these are things that he creates, puts together. It's super creative. And this is just a little example of what his stuff sounds like. Awesome sounds, really incredible. So, Diego Stacco. Very, very, very cool stuff. So yeah, I wish I could play 10,000 sounds for you, but you'd probably get bored. So I'm not going to play too many individual ones. We'll be featuring them in future videos and stuff on the site. But we got to keep moving along because there's just so much stuff here. So let's take a look at the new Arpeggiator. And let's see here. Okay. So I'm gonna find an arpeggiated sound because I forgot to put one in for the demo. So let me. And while I'm looking for this, let's talk a little bit about the new full browser and the new browsing system. Because this is a good way to show it. We have a whole new full-screen browser and a mini browser. So on the left side, you can keep the browser open all the time. You can do almost everything that you need to do, and you can have the interface open at the same time. But you can also look at it full screen, and you can see all the things there. So let's find an arc pattern here. Let's try maybe this sound here. Let's see here. I'm going to find something a little bit tighter so that cuts through a little better. The NAMM Haze. Yeah, let's try this one here. You can hear that better. All right. Yeah, that's your classic arpeggiated thing that happens, right? Plays the note, and then you play. It tracks whatever you play. But in the new Arpeggiator, we can transpose each step. So I'll put this up a fifth. Program whole melodies and all kinds of stuff. You can also modulate these three parameters. So let's try modulating this with an LFO. And you can see it pops up right there. And let's get this set up. And look at that, I can modulate the length with an LFO. So I'm going to select legato mode here. And let's try putting this in sync with a quarter note pulse. And I'll shorten the release here so this is tight. And here's without the modulation. And with it, Right? Maybe let's try that with a shorter, slower. So that's a really neat effect, being able to modulate that. And we can also control the speed of the modulation, the speed of the arpeggiator, I should say. And so let's say I've got an arpeggiated pattern going like this. And I can change it so it's not locked to the host. Sounds more analog, right? You know why? Because the problem with analog synths is they don't sync to clock. The problem with software synths is they always sync to clock, right? So now you can control it however you want, and you can even modulate that. You can modulate the speed going up and down. And so it's, yeah, really cool what you can do with the new Arpeggiator. There's some great features there. Super useful. Arpeggiator. And now, okay, and now I'm getting to, really nice. Okay, let's try. Let's take that off, and let's try something completely different.
You're not going to see me till May.
Let me shuffle it, and let's see. We'll come up with something like. Let's try. Oh, here we go. How about this one? Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that. So, but I can tell. I know what's going on behind the scenes there. There's like some pitch modulation and some envelope tricks, maybe some LFO tricks. So, and I like what the effects are doing. So I'll lock in the effects. I'll lock in the filters. I'll lock in the envelopes, the LFOs, and the modulation matrix. And now let's select another sound and see what happens. And then these are sounds that are completely different than the original sound. And now I've got a really cool sound that's completely different than the original sound, and no one else has this sound, right? So you didn't have to do any programming, no synth programming, no tweaking. You now have a sound no one else has. You want to hear what the original sound was like? Let's turn off the filters, the effects, the envelopes, and the LFOs, and we've got. So completely different than that sound. So sound lock is an amazing feature. It's really cool, and it lets everybody be original. Find something you like, lock it down, try it. You can actually do creative browsing now. That's kind of what it's like. You can actually create as you're browsing. Really neat. Thank you. So that's just a little taste. That's a little taste of what Omnisphere 2 is about. It's same price as Omnisphere 1. It's $499, and there's upgrades available for all of the existing Omnisphere users at various prices, but the standard price is $249. If you are a VIP user and you have Omnisphere Trillion and Stylus RMX that you bought at a store, you're a VIP user, you get it for $199. And if you just bought Omnisphere recently, it's free. So thanks a lot, and that's a little bit of Omnisphere 2. Thank you.